Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. So you joined the Air Force Reserve and you want to be promoted. Well, today I'm going to tell you everything you got to do to get promoted. At least the minimum requirement per the reg. Now, this is part 2 of a 3-part series. If you haven't seen the first part, it was, the first 4. I have a link for that up there. So today we're going to be talking about the NCO Corps, that rocker, E5 and E6. Now the first 4, what they had to do, again, I have the link up in the description and up there, so you can go over that. But today we're going to be talking about the junior NCOs, the meat right in the middle, the 5 and the 6, where I currently find myself, and all the things that come with that. Now, the next video, which is probably going to take me a whole lot longer to do, is going to be the last of the series. That's going to be the E7 to E9s. That's the roofs. That's the creme de la creme, the absolute top. So watch all 3. Watch all 3. Get an idea, and you'll see how progressively it gets more difficult. As the higher up you go, the more exclusive the ranks become. But today we're talking about the 5 and 6, the junior NCOs. So I'm not going to bore you with all the stuff that I went in before. Like if you're watching this and you're trying to get into the 5 and 6, if you're at the 5 and 6, or if you're, rather you're part of that E4 mafia and you looking like, all right, what I need to do next. So if you're a staff trying to make tech, or if you're a tech just seeing some of the things that, you're trying to help out a friend, that's who this is geared toward. Now, of course, I went over all the crap that you shouldn't do before, and I'm not going to get into all of that because you're at this level. You should know that by now. But there's 4 ways to get promoted. We went over the unit vacancy, the last one. We went over the special circumstances in the last one. If you need a quick refresher, go check that video out. That was pretty informative. But there was 2 things that we went over that weren't reviewed there. And they were called step promotions. Now, there's step 1 and there's step 2. Technically, they count as 2 separate things because there are 2 different ways to get promoted. They're very similar, but they do have their differences. So STEP, as everything in the military, is an acronym. Stripes for exceptional performer. Yeah, I had to go back and look at that because I was like, STEP, whatever. But stripes for exceptional performers. That's what a step promotion is. So there's step 1 and there's step 2. We're going to start with step 1 first. Obviously, that just makes sense if you count up. So what is step 1? Step 1 is a promotion to tech sergeant. Now, of course, there are going to be requirements for you to have a step promotion. What are those requirements? I'm happy you asked. There happens to be a nice NCO who went and pulled up the specifics for you and is going to outline them for you now. So to get a step promotion to tech, there are essentially 3 things that you need to be worried about. Number 1, you need 16 good years of service. So if you just got in, you ain't been in for a while, don't even worry about tech. We're a step. And they do this because you only need 2 years as a staff to make tech. But once you see the next 2 things, it'll kind of make sense for you. Secondly, you got to at least meet the minimum requirements for tech. Duh. So you have to meet the minimum requirements. You have to have 16 years time of service, and you have to currently be blocked from making tech because you don't have unit vacancy. Now, if you don't know what unit vacancy is, check that last video. I went over it there. So you got to have a 16 years unit vacancy, and you have to meet the minimum requirements. So step 2 allows you to go 1 grade above what your current slot is in a Manning document. Now, we spoke about the Manning document unit vacancy over in the last video, but essentially, every unit has a document that says we need this number of chiefs, this many staffs, this many techs, this many master sergeants, et cetera, all except for like E4 and below, because they just don't want a bunch of airmen. But everything above that. So if you're in a tech sergeant slot and you want to go to master, and there are no master sergeant slots, you can use step 2, also known as PEP, but now it's step 2, to go 1 grade above what you're authorized to be at. So like, let's say your unit has 3 tech slots and 1 master slot. And your master sergeant that's there has been there forever. He ain't going nowhere. Well, you want to become a master sergeant, but there's no spot for you. You can use step 2 to be promoted to master. Now, I'm grossly oversimplifying this process. Obviously, consult the ranking chain of command, but this is to show that there are multiple avenues for you to progress, even if there are obstacles in your way. Now, as I said before, STEP stands for stripes for exceptional performers. Meaning if you are bare minimum, or if you're just making it, or you just regular degular, it's ain't for you. These are the things you need to be aware of, like exceptionals in the name. So everybody's not going to get a step promotion. They're extremely competitive. They're highly sought after, especially for your smaller career fields where you can't progress to that. Like if you're trying to make master sergeant and your career field only has like one for your installation, yeah, you can be fighting with everybody in your unit and then everyone else in a similar boat. So there are ways to get promoted even if you are in a smaller unit. Like before I spoke about like the load masters, they're not as big a shop as something like the port dogs. Like the aerial port, my unit has 200 people in there or something like that. We have plenty of slots. I don't have to pep or step or any of that mess because there are spots for me to move into, mostly because we have the spots and I'm awesome. But smaller jobs where you don't have such an abundance of open slots, people have to step one, step two to progress in their career because they're great assets. They're great NCOs and their unit wants to keep them, but they don't want to stall their career. So we have these things built in so that they can get around that. It's not as they get around it, but work within the system. The system is designed to accommodate great individuals so that they can still progress in their career, even if their specific career field doesn't allow for as much mobility as, say, another one. That may not all make sense, but those in the military get it. And if you're not in, shoot me a message down in the comments below and we can go into more detail about it. But that's what STEP is. It is a way for you to continue to progress, even if there are other constraints outside of your control. Now, for step 2, there are 3 requirements. Number 1, you can't be AGR. That's active guard reserve. You're not eligible for that. Sorry, kick rocks. You're not eligible. Number 2, you can't have any absences within the last 12 months. I believe it said unexcused absences, but it's no unexcused absences. So again, don't miss no days. You know what your UTA weekends are, be there. If it's your job technically can't, your civilian job can't hold you up because of USARA and a whole bunch of stuff. So if you're having issues like that, let your supervisor know and they can get involved in. So no unexcused absences. You know you got to be there, be there. If you want to go for a 7 months, you definitely shouldn't be having any unexcused absences. You need to be there on time, which is early, and be outstanding. And the third requirement is that you got to be nominated by your supervisor and your commander. So if they don't think that you're awesome and you deserve this, they're not going to nominate you. You're not even part of the conversation. So yeah, if you want to be exceptional, they should look at you like he or she is exceptional. There you go. If they don't think you are, you got other problems to worry about. You got things you got to fix before you get there. So lastly, and I say this because this will change, who has the authority to promote you? Your unit commander. This doesn't change to get to like E8 or E9, but it's one of the things that's in the reg, so I highlight it. That's the person that says the yay or nay for you getting promoted. Now, to be clear, like I said before, anyone, any O's above him in that chain, can theoretically affect that, but your commander's gonna be one that signs off on it. Commander says, yeah, he or she's ready for staff protect, then you're getting staff protect. I don't think I've ever seen where like a group commander or a wing commander stepped in and said, no. Doesn't mean they can't, just I haven't seen it. So your commander signs off on it. Now the part that you've been waiting for, what do I need to make staff sergeant? Easy, to go from an E4 to an E5 in the Air Force Reserve. All you need is a 5 skill level, 12 months time and grade, and 4 years, 4 satisfactory years and ALS, Airman Leadership School. So let's break that down. You need a 5 skill level in your job. Depending upon your job, that's either going to require that you take CDCs, which are career development courses for you to progress your skill level to 5. Some jobs, you get that coming out of tech school. You come out of tech school as a 5 level. Whatever it is, you have to progress to a 5 skill level to be a staff sergeant. That is non-negotiable. That's per the reg. That's one of the minimum requirements. You need a year as an E4 before you're even eligible to become an E5 staff sergeant. You need 4 satisfactory years. That means 4 good years. So if you have years where you missed a bunch of days or you took time off or whatever it was that happened, you're not eligible for staff because you need 4 satisfactory years, and you need Airman Leadership School, which is like the NCO development course. I don't know what the other branches call it, but I probably put some of the other stuff up here so you can know what the equivalent is. That's when they teach you to go from just an individual contributor to a supervisor. You're going to be a non-commissioned officer. That is a big jump. It is. Airman Leadership School is significant. Now you can go in residence. If you're active duty, you're going to residence, but this is about the reserves. So ALS, you can go in residence. Money is usually the problem. Some people go. Most people that I know have done the correspondence courses, which is the books. It's like taking an online class. It's not easy. There's a lot of material because it's a lot of stuff they have to cram into you, but you have to have that done. So say it with me now. A 5 skill level, 12 months time and grade, a year as an E4. You have to have 4 satisfactory years, 4 good years total, not just as an E4, just 4 years total. And you have to have ALS done. That's the minimum, the bare minimum standard, the bare minimum, requirement, because it's not the standard, the bare minimum requirement per the reg to make E5. You can all, now I have the reg in either here or there. I'll put it somewhere so you guys can get to it easily. But again, always know your regulations. You have to know that. It's non-negotiable. Now, to make tech sergeant, you need a 7 skill level in your job. All that stuff I said before about a 5 skill level, you need your 7 skill level for your job. Now, depending upon your job, there may be CDCs, there may not be CDCs, but that's going to be dependent upon your specific job, your AFSC, or I'm thinking the Army calls it MOS. I'm not quite sure what the Navy and Coast Guard has. I probably throw it up here somewhere, but your job, what you do from day to day, you have to have a 7 skill level. That is a certain degree of proficiency you have to have with your job. You need 24 months time and grade. It's 24 months as a staff sergeant. So from the day you put on staff, which usually be like 1 whatever month, 2 years later, minimum, you become eligible to become a tech sergeant. In addition to that, you need 6 years time in service, which is 6 good years total. So you need your 7 skill level, you need 2 years as a staff sergeant, and you need 6 total years, total good years in the military. Now you know what you need, the minimum to be a staff and to be a tech. Per the reg, it's the minimum requirements. Now we've gone over the minimum requirements. Let me give you the juice. I'm gonna tell you what you actually have to do if you want to become a staff sergeant or a tech sergeant. Number 1, if you're not writing this down, you want to take notes here. Get whatever it is you got to get done ahead of time. It's like if you want to make staff sergeant, you need ALS done, and you need your 5 skill level, right? You got to have 12 months time and grade as an E4. That means the moment you put on E4, you can ask, hey, how soon can I take ALS? Now, they may not, your supervisor chain, when I say they, may not think that you're ready for it, but you let them know you have an interest sooner rather than later. Your 5 skill level at your CDCs, depending upon your job. Career progression is of the utmost importance. If you are not taking your CDCs or whatever it is that's for your job serious, you are wrong. Those are highly, highly important. Failure to complete them or failing them too many times, depending upon your job or your supervisory chain, they'll let you know what the maximum number of attempts is, but you need to pass them the first time. And I would strongly advise that you take them extremely seriously. If you're in school, it's the most important class you have. Like, I think in my opinion, you should take time off from your other classes, focus on them intensely, and get that done. Now, there may be physical tasks and there may be written tasks depending upon your job, but your CDCs are of the utmost importance. CDCs is a career development course. The books and everything you take to progress your skill level to show that you're better and better at your job. So you're not just new guy, you're experienced guy or gal. CDCs are highly important. ALS is another one. It's just as important. ALS is going to be a barrage of data, a barrage of information. It's going to attempt, to make you prepared to be an NCO. Full disclosure, the books will not make you a good NCO. They will teach you the mechanics and they will provide you with the materials, but the books alone will not make you a good NCO. They will prepare you for it, but they alone, don't think that I did the books from great NCO. No, it's not how it works. Time, experience, wisdom, knowledge. Those things make you a good NCO. But as I digress, the most important thing is do not wait until you meet the time requirements. You need to be done before they come up. It's like if you want to make tech, like when I was going up for tech, I had my 7 skill level done 3 months after I put on staff. I didn't wait 2 years. I didn't. So when my 2 years came up, stuff was already ready. I had my time in grade, I had my time in service, my 7 skill level was done over a year ago. You're ready before the day comes. If you wait until you become eligible to start working on these things, you are behind the ball. You are not being effective. Period. And if someone else has something different as far as like a chief or anyone who's a higher level who would say something otherwise, I welcome the feedback. It's just from what I've seen, That is the most effective way. You do what you have to do before it's due. And then when you're ready, or when you meet all the requirements, you're ready to go. You need to conduct yourself as though you are already wearing that rank. If you're an E4, you want to be a staff sergeant, you need to have the mannerisms, the capability, the respect, the customs and courtesies of a staff sergeant. You need to distinguish yourself as someone who already operates on that level. It's that plain and simple. As a staff sergeant, I was told by my leadership that I operate as someone above the rank that I currently am. Now, that's not always going to be easy to do. It isn't. There are things that you can't do if you don't have that rank, but you need to have the mannerisms and be grooming yourself to exhibit the character traits that your leadership looks for in the next rank up. And you can ask these questions, because I asked them. And any leadership will invite those questions and answer them honestly. Hey, what do you guys look for in the staff sergeant? What do you look for in the tech sergeant? So like my unit, when it comes to staff sergeants, where they look for managerial experience. Can you manage your job and potentially a program or assist with one? They want to see that you're multifaceted, that you're well-rounded. Ask your leadership what they look for and model your behaviors after what they expect from their NCOs. Understand that the change and the jump from E4, from junior list to NCO, that's a huge jump. It's a big jump. Like E4, E5 is a massive jump. It's like going from being the fry guy to the manager at McDonald's. It's being silly, but it is a major jump. You go from being just a part of the team to running the team. You're now in charge. When you go places, if there's a bunch of junior enlisted and you show up as the NCO, you're the guy or gal in charge. So you need to act like the guy or gal in charge. Respectfully, of course, but you need to model yourself and your mannerisms like you're ready for that next rank because you already operate at that level. Number 3, communicate with your chain, what your intentions are. We have some people who are like, I just want to make tech and that's it. I just want to make staff and that's it. And I've seen E4s that have been E4s, in the reserves for a decade. Failure to progress. They don't want to do more. If you're looking for more, you want to do more, you let your leadership chain know. Start with your supervisor. Hey, sir, I'm looking to pin on staff. What do you recommend I do? Communicate with your chain. If possible, get some FaceTime with your commander. Hey, sir, what do you look for in NCOs? Now, your commander is a commissioned officer in charge of everything. He or she will be able to provide some feedback, if possible, schedule permitting, upon the characters and what they look for in their NCOs. You do it respectfully. If they don't have time, cool, I get it. They're in charge of the entire unit. But at least start with your supervisor. Hey, what are the things I need to work on? Let me get some feedback on. They should be providing you feedback through an ACA, an Airman Comprehensive Assessment, but ask for that feedback. Communicate what your intentions are. And last, but most certainly not least, the minimum is never the standard. And that's something that I heard from somebody a while ago. And it's the minimum. Just doing the bare minimum will never be enough. And the higher up you go, the more you're gonna have to do past just what the rank says. So like for a staff sergeant, there's only 3 things listed. Well, there's 4 things technically, excuse me. To make staff, there is time and grade, time and service, ALS, and your 5 level. It's like, well, I did all those, I'm good. No, it's not. You can't just check 4 boxes and think that you're ready to become an NCO. Just like with the tech sergeant, there's only 3. 7 level, time and grade, time and service. Again, if that's all you bring to the table, you're not sitting at the table because you ain't bringing nothing. So always make sure that you exceed the minimum standard. You should never be doing just enough of the bare minimum. It's not good enough. Never has been, never will be. So with that being said, I'm Larry, not just a veteran banker, you're a veteran banker. Once a month, we'll go through something that's military related. And I'm working on part 3. It's gonna be a little minute, but it's gonna be out there for y'all. But let me know what y'all think in the comments, questions, comments, concerns, thumbs up or, like, subscribe, all that crap they say on YouTube. But all right, man, it's been fun. I'll see y'all. Peace.